what is really the back to balance and how people really think about it in their lives. So can you explain me that?
Yeah, absolutely. So back to balance, I mean, it's a marketing term in a sense, back to balance. And it's just the work that I do. I weave together Ayurveda, non-sleep deep rest, and a solution focused approach to coaching and to non-sleep deep rest. And we live in a culture where we're constantly pushed out of balance by everything. It's making us ill.
Mm.
And so I help people to come back into balance so that they can be well. That's in a nutshell. Yeah, more to it than that, but it's an interesting question though, back to balance, because it doesn't mean that you're always in a state of balance. So I'm not doing work which is helping people to be always in a state of balance, because we live in a world that's going to knock us off balance, because we're human beings and we've got all sorts of pressures in our lives. And also because sometimes we want to push out from balance to get peak performance. Whether you're an athlete or working in a job and you want to be really good at what you do, you push out from that state of balance. The point is you need to come back into balance. If you keep pushing out, you get burnout. So that's the work I do. I help people to understand how to come back into balance.
Was there any point in your journey where you realized your personal struggles could actually become your strength in helping others?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do.
I mean, I'm 63, so it's over decades. But my background was complex post-traumatic stress, and I lived with that for decades before there was a term for it even. You have to be very resilient to do that, and you learn a lot about stress. You learn a lot about your own trauma through that journey. I've learnt a lot. And it was actually only 10 years ago that I found a complete cure for it, so that I never get triggered into trauma anymore. That's been the case for 10 years. When you have post-traumatic stress and it goes on for a long time, it has an effect, obviously. It's chronic stress and trauma, and so it has an effect on your physicality. And for me, I could always get up and keep marching and keep smiling, carry on with my life, but it affected my body. And so it affected my digestion. And then when digestion is impacted over a long period of time, that affects your immune system, affects everything, and you start getting ill with all sorts of different things. So over sort of 15-year period, that went on. And I basically managed to heal that through Ayurveda. And Ayurveda reset my nervous system as well, the healing approach, just a 3-month healing approach. And then at the end of that, I met somebody, they did solution focused hypnotherapy, which included a particular technique called rewind. And they were able to rewind the traumas, even though they were complex, within 12 weeks, sorted. And so I went on to train in those things to help other people. So that's the way that my experience of life has helped me to bring myself to the work that I do.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great. For someone who has never heard of NSDR, non-sleep deep rest,
yeah.
so how would you explain it in a simple terms?
You can explain it very simply. That term actually, non-sleep deep rest, NSDR, was coined by a neurobiologist called Andrew Huberman, who many people know about.
I heard about it.
And he came up with that term because he was looking at Yoga Nidra, which comes from the same tradition as Ayurveda, over 5,000 years old. And it's a technique that Ayurveda has used.
It's from the ancient times, like.
Yeah, it is. But because it was packaged in Ayurveda, Andrew Huberman wanted to take it out there in case it put people off, basically. And it's the same with hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy takes you into the same state. So Yoga Nidra and the hypnotherapy trance state are very similar. And they change the brainwave, so they can take us from a stressed state, brainwave state, to very calm, very meditative, very peaceful, theta alpha, and it allows us to also access the subconscious mind. So Yoga Nidra, which is NSDR, Ayurveda uses that to take the person into a brain state that allows them to heal themselves and to regulate the nervous system. And it's a fantastic stress management tool, if you like.
So every night, everyone are going to the unconscious or like paralysis. So, I mean, to the sleep.
When they go to sleep?
Yeah, to the sleep. And how does it work actually?
Why do we go to sleep?
Yeah, why do we go to sleep?
What's the science of going to sleep? Do you know, I can't actually explain that to you. I don't know the whole science of going to sleep.
It's fine.
But we do, the brainwave changes. So when I was training in solution focused hypnotherapy, on our first weekend, I remember, one of us had to get up and put the electrode hat on.
Yeah.
And they were wired up to a computer, and we could see their brain waves on the wall, and they read a script with a certain sort of little spaces in it, which is what you do when you read a hypnotherapy script. And we watched their brainwave change from beta down to theta.
Okay.
And so that's what's happening when you go to sleep. Your brainwave is changing until you're in deep sleep. And when you're in REM sleep, it's fascinating because when you're in REM sleep, that's when you're dreaming. And it could be metaphorical, it could be a clear dream. And it's the brain's way of processing the stresses of the day. And it's about, I can't remember exactly, it's 20-something% of the sleep rhythm, which means that we don't always get through all the stress of the day. We don't process it all. And that's what the big problem is now in the world. 24/7 news, things going on in the world on another part of the continent that you can't do anything about. People are so stressed, and their REM sleep isn't able to process all of the stresses they're taking in day after day after day. So coming back to NSDR, if they have routine every day where they're doing this for themselves, it really, really helps with that.
Can you explain me how to combine Ayurveda and NSDR in a single approach? How do you coach this?
How do I bring the three things together?
How do you combine this both,
Yeah.
like Ayurveda and NSDR?
It does vary on who I'm with. So when I meet with somebody, I need to meet people where they are. So some people, they may be in quite a good mental state, and they really want that Ayurvedic plan. They want to understand what food to eat for their particular constitution, what exercise to do, all the different lifestyle protocols to keep themselves in a good, balanced state. But most of the people that I see actually are managing huge stress levels. So if I was to give them an Ayurvedic plan straight away, they're not going to do it. They're too stressed. So then I work with NSDR, and I'll work with a solution-focused approach to bring their stress levels down. And I can also use it to help them create the new habits that they're going to need to create in order to carry out the Ayurvedic plan. So I weave the things together, but it's very different depending on who I'm working with and what they need. So for some people, I might give them an Ayurvedic plan, and then we might do some work every week creating the habit patterns for them that will help them do it quickly. For other people, it's just drip feeding little parts of that plan within weekly sessions of NSDR and solution-focused work.
Can you share your success story that moved you to here right now?
For me, the success story is that I'm completely healed. I have no PTSD attacks anymore. So I had decades